we're gonna drive not a restoration on its maiden voyage. Well, that was not how we had wanted that to go. It's gonna sit there in timeout and think about what it did. And now we're gonna do Tech Tuesday?
Something like that.
What do you want me to do, Davey? All right, Tech Tuesday, back again. And you may or may not see some footage, slightly less than desirable of this one. We had a couple hiccups. It is why we test drive them all. It is why we vet all of the Jeeps. And I proudly say that I personally drive 90% or better of all of the Jeeps that we turn out of the business. One guy in town's driving the tractor. Eric's got the...
Actually, I had a tractor. I drove around, one of the headers onto it and all that. It had Kragers in the back. And you know, just something else stupid before I got something else stupid. Before I got the other thing stupid, which you own now.
Don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Took my kid to school on his birthday, you know. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know somebody that works at the school, and they're like, she goes, I was in that car.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, she's funny every time I drop them off, you know. It's been fun at this point.
Yeah.
I took it in to get the AC fixed.
Oh, is that what it was? Because everybody's like, I see your limo. I'm like, it ain't mine no more. Well, I see it up. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing the AC. Like, I'm a big proponent of function. Like, I went a long time in life without functioning AC.
Sure.
I want to do it once.
Yeah. No, that's
and
fine.
just
It's
be
great.
done. You know what I mean?
I'm happy to see it. Like, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm having fun. So I tore into that. My boy was washing it and cleaning it. We're having fun with that, and no, we're just gonna keep picking away at it.
Yeah.
You know, my 6 weeks, I joined all the Fleetwood Cadillac Facebook pages and everything. You know. Shoot. Yeah, we're having a good time. Yeah. We'll keep playing with it. All right, I gotta go test drive. Right. This is yours. All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for bringing this by.
Yeah.
All right. See you, Eric.
Take care.
You going with test drive with me?
You're not going to make an offer?
Not gonna make an offer. So this is Rosie. Rosie is misbehaving for the horn. Rosie is misbehaving for the customer, and Scott already did a bunch of miles on this as a test drive. But after talking to the customer, and he tried to do things like train tracks and rough roads and whatnot, we're going to try and run out Route 7, not to try and make it death wobble, but to see if we can't get an electrical glitch to happen. It's actually, what's happening to hers is exactly what's happening to this one right here, which is a electronic glitch in the matrix. Basically, it has a brain fart. That's what's happening in the Jeep. So we'll see if we can have it do it to us. A little gasoline.
No. I smell bacon.
You smell bacon? Look at that cop car. Connie has the coolest looking cop cars. We have a Dodge 1500 pick 'em up truck cop car. That's just cool.
Should have been a JT.
Should have been a JT. What time? When are we not allowed to turn on red?
Between 2 and 4.
Oh, we're good.
Summer.
You know, if it's not right, I'm going to tell them that's what you told me.
Ignorance is an excuse, right?
Ignorance is not an excuse. We're waiting for it to do anything, for it to hiccup or ding or get upset about anything. But right now it's just working really well. Unfortunately, we can be unhappy when they actually work well. We have got vehicles all around, and so it's a little overwhelming to really talk and address. So buckle up, get a drink, get tuned into what all these Jeeps are doing. This particular Jeep is one that we've been fine tuning for many years now. Really appreciate this customer. Came in for some fresh rubber, wanted to downgrade out of those aggressive mud terrains that at one time really appealed to him. And so this Jeep over the years has been re-geared and a new Rubicon hood installed, suspension modifications, stereo, all the good stuff like that. It now has some check engine light stuff that we need to deal with. So the first round of work has been done with it, and it's ready for round 2 of the engine mechanical diagnostics. This gem, this world traveler, if you will, is getting upgraded motherboards for the Rockslide Engineering Gen 3 steps. When these customers placed the order for their Gen 3 steps, it was at the height of COVID and the steps were not available. They waited a very long time and ultimately received like a first iteration of the Gen 3. At this point in time, Rockslide Engineering has superseded the motherboards that actually control the step operation about 3 times, and we have the latest and greatest motherboards that are going to go up under those steps here very soon. And ideally, that is going to mitigate a parasitic draw that Jeep has been experiencing. We also were able to warranty out their yellow Optima battery. It has a nice no-code trickle tender under the hood, and once those things are tip-top shape, it's heading home to its owners. We just keep on trucking this clean JK. This is a crossover year JK, so it is a 2018 JK, last of production. Was recently in for your standard maintenance service, oil change, tire pressure, fluids, all that good stuff. And one of the customer complaints was that when he turned his wipers on, randomly he went out one morning and he flipped his wipers on and it just made this god-awful noise. And it is a little known failure internal to the wiper motor transmission and armature itself. We were able to get that ordered up from the mothership, sent in that order. They were able to have that to us in 24 hours, and it's already been installed. Customer is tickled, works well, and it's headed home. We see Harley the Money Pit hiding out in the back. Now, if you've been following along, you'll know that Harley the Money Pit's twin is actually at the body shop right now. So we managed to build a secondary Jeep out of parts, and we're waiting for that tub to come back from the body shop. That tub was actually in an accident prior to our customer purchasing it, and it basically stoved the tub, kind of accordioning, I think that's a word, the cow back a little bit. So we took Harley's doors off, hung them on the tub, and sent it off on its rolling chassis to the body shop. And we're just, fingers crossed, waiting for that to come back sooner than later.
You working on spin?
06 Rubicon drive shaft. Original U-joints were held in with plastic, and they had put in some greasables. We're going to put spacers back in it, but I got to clean out the plastic they didn't clean out. Good shape, little piece of the plastic. Here, notice how it fits the saddle really nice.
Yes, fits the saddle.
Not fitting,
But it fits.
but it fits the drive shaft.
But it fits the drive shaft.
Yep. Thought I was going crazy for a minute. I can take them home and put them in my lathe and turn them down.
So what we have going on is, as Scott was explaining, we have is a cap diameter issue. One cap is a few millimeters different than this other cap. So when we actually go to put them into the yoke itself, this cap does not fit nicely, and the OE cap does. So Rubicons, which we've always known or been told, are 1330 U-joint series. So we have typically 1310 and 1350, which you know, which if you go into like Adams or any of the other reputable drive shaft builders, will typically work between 1310 and 1350s. Rubicons, starting in 2003, had 1330 U-joints in them. And obviously they have their challenges, because 1330 is not a U-joint series. You know, the Jeep engineers knew that they needed a more robust, bigger cross to distribute load, transfer energy, and Jeep engineers knew that, so they just jumped up a size. So from 1310s to 1330s. We hadn't yet, as an industry, jumped all the way into 1350s. The problem is 1330 technology was really never fully developed. And so there's a lot of inconsistencies in the kind of how the data gets distributed, how information is shared about it from Jeep to Jeep, and then what is actually installed on vehicles. And actually in 95, we started with 1330. So the 1995 YJ actually had from the factory a conversion joint. Super weird. Well, it didn't actually have a conversion joint. It had a conversion slip. So you had a 1330 drive shaft in the rear of a YJ, 1995 YJ only. And so it was 13, it was a slip, then a 1310 or a 1330 at the slip to first cardan, and then at the yoke itself was a 1330. So then there are conversion joints. You know, typically we don't want to use a conversion joint because they're a little harder to find. We always talk to people, we want to have like a U-joint that you can reasonably buy on any auto parts store. We want that to be what's in your vehicle, so that if you break down somewhere across the country, you could just walk into your local parts store and get the part you need. So we try to make things serviceable after initial installation. We took the two caps that are the conversion caps, and they're installed, and it's into the saddle just fine. And now Ken can drive his Jeep away. We're gonna have to figure out what is actually supposed to be back here. As we kind of pan over here, we have another two-door JK. We're waiting on an aux locker to come in from aux themselves. Otherwise, that is getting Yukon 488 gears, aux locker in the rear, and a Detroit True Track in the front. As you pan back, we have Rosie on the big rig. And Rosie is being naughty. We got a couple naughty Jeeps on site right now, and she is just randomly shutting off on her owner. So we're gonna get into why that's the case. And we just picked that one up, and we're gonna have to go in and do a good amount of electrical diag to understand why it's randomly shutting off and then, you know, appropriately functioning. Spin around, we've got the Rolling with my Nomies, super fun Jeep that just came in today. It's Nomad, and you can see it's totally gnomed out. It is in for a jounce bumper upgrade, so bumping it out for the bump stops. And customer just got a quote for some nice Fox shocks, so we'll see if they convert on that. And that one will be off to play this summer nicely. As we make our way down the Jeeps, with the Mad Hatter is here. The Mad Hatter was in about a year ago. There's actually quite a few miles on the Mad Hatter. It's been driven. They got some new rubber on it. We're going to address some of the suspension geometry and see if we can take the shakes and shimmies. Got all gobbledygook on her over the past year, and so we're going to go ahead and address a couple few things, and maybe talked about the brakes a little bit because they look like they might need addressed. That just came in recently. This sweet CJ7 is waiting for #NotARestoration to go home. It is going to be in the vintage restoration bay very shortly. Obviously, the last video we talked about how it grew up. It had its glow up, if you will. It's going to go in. We're going to tear out the wiring harness. New painless wiring harness is going to go in, plus Dakota Digital gauges, Holley Sniper fuel injection. And that thing is going to be a fun runner for the summer here very shortly. This one is just a oddity. It was in for a no start. So neutral safety switch on the clutch. Guys did a great job diagnosing that. We got that switch changed out with a new one. We went ahead and put in new hydraulics as well, because when we were diagnosing the switch, one of the guys put his foot on and it went straight to the floor. And so the hydraulics just failed at that time. We put new hydraulics on it and they too failed. And unfortunately, when we went to remove them from the transmission bell housing assembly, the internals of the slave cylinder actually stayed lodged in the bell housing and fell to the bottom of it. So now we're going to have to see if Scott can become some type of contortionist, or we can get a reach tool down in there and pluck these pieces out. Otherwise, we're going to be pulling the transmission back out and trying to retrieve those broken clutch rod, slave cylinder rod, and internals. We have the Frankenstein TJ-YJ CJ. You can really get a good look at those CJ turbine wheels now. And we talked about that a couple videos back. This one just tickles me. We did a nice center force clutch upgrade on it. It was in a parade with us, I understand, and clutch overheated. So now they've got a nice new clutch in there. Customer also asked that we check out four-wheel drive for them. Come to find out, the rear output transfer case seal is non-existent. There is absolutely zero fluid in the transfer case. You gotta have fluid in them in order for the Jeeps to work, folks. That's just part of the challenge. And that's okay, customer was unaware, and that's why we're here to help them. So we need to address getting some fluid back into that case, maybe get a seal on there, new drive shaft. It actually wore the seal surface of the slip on the drive shaft. But hopefully we'll be making four-wheel drive work on that Jeep very shortly. We have the wrecked LJ that is saved from the scrapper, waiting to hear back on the insurance quote on that. The Baker effect, waiting its turn. We have the everyday TJ, which we now know is named Brittany the Jeep. So Brittany the Jeep has a rolling assembly, and it too will be going on. We're going to try and up it in the schedule, while we have some other chassis that are elsewhere or in transition. Come over to another problem child, one of our naughty Jeeps. We have Artie, who likes to drift left. You'll see that in a number of the previous videos. And then that gem of a two-door JK, which is for sale, folks, and that you will obviously see. It's not something we do very often, but it's a super cool Jeep, and somebody needs to take it home. Check out one of the previous videos when we talk about it. We'll head inside and address the last couple Jeeps. In here on the main bay is this JKU. I believe it's a winter or an Arctic. It's a super cool package. And I want to look at it here. Yeah, Polar Edition. It's one of those really unique packages, the Polar Edition. This is a particular Jeep that's set up to run back and forth, much like a number of our other customers, running from the Great Lakes Midwest region out to the Southwest. It is getting a full suspension upgrade, JKS 3.5-inch J-Crawl kit. That's all 8 control arms, all the track bars. It's getting Fox 2.0 reservoir adjustable shocks. They're super rare to come by. I was able to source them from a couple different distribution channels. Those will be going on. You can actually see the fronts are reasonably in place already. And we're going to go ahead and zero in on our adjuster there on the reservoir. That allows the customer to soften or firm up the ride as they deem necessary. So guys are working through that one. It will be getting an Adams rear drive shaft, some new Spicer hubs, and some Iron Rock off-road replacement brake hoses. Move on into this corner because we don't have anything in the vintage restoration section. I've got a pickle here with a naughty performing CAN C-Bus performance signal. So we have some voltage high, voltage low, basically how the Jeep is communicating through its central nervous system is problematic and causing issues for the owners. And then of course we've got the Commuter Patriot that the team did a really good job diagnosing exhaust particulate and fluid and exhaust gases in the radiator fluid itself. Customer had some overheating issues. It had some issues with, you know, the fluids disappearing. That's because they're somewhere, whether it's a blown head gasket or a crack at the head itself, is entering the exhaust system and cross-contaminating, and obviously that fluid is getting evaporated, burnt up, evaporated, and sent out the tailpipe. So we've got a couple different options going on for that Jeep. She video called and she's looking at my ear the whole time. I'm holding it to my face. I've never... Shut up, Davey. Never had such a boomer moment in my life. All right, we ready to go for a ride? We're gonna drive Not a Restoration on its maiden voyage. Scott, how do you feel about that?
Godspeed.
Godspeed. That's it. He had.
Does he not have faith in himself? Or
No,
what?
he was full commit. I think that was full commit.
Can we go to Dollar General?
Why are we going to Dollar General?
I need batteries for my mic.
Well, we're going to Lake Erie Automotive.
Do they have AAA's there?
Do they have AAA's at Lake Erie Automotive? I don't know. I mean, they might. We can ask them if we say pretty please. But my contention is they're right next to. Who was sitting in this seat last? That was not me. Let me tell you, I'm gonna gotta adjust that out for a big boy. Ryan, I hope you fit. I hope you've been working out, man. There we go.
Ryan's like half the size of me.
This is running on the fuel injection system right now. And so it's beautiful because it's all the digital, it's analog readout, but the gauges are digital. And then you can see the actual display screen. So we can monitor the AFR, which is our most valuable measurement here. There's our RPMs. Exhaust is still warming up. Let's see how she does on the road. So we're braking in the gear, so we can't get too crazy on things, but that does sound good, doesn't it, Davey? All right. I don't know what side the gas cap's on, I'll be honest with you. It should actually be the other side, but since this is aftermarket tub, I'm on the wrong side.
To see some freaking like Chevelle or GTO pull up, like it's a Jeep.
Man, we're running that premium at 93 octane. No drips.
What do you put that in your pocket?
That's got to be brand new, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. I
For
like it. And
for
it's-
1978, it's brand new.
Is it really?
Yeah.
There's a mark on it. You must have just put it together.
We just built it.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
I like the simplicity of it.
Yes.
Very nice.
Just the way that it should look, right?
I'm thinking so.
That's right. There's a lot of stuff that's brand new, so I mean, paint's gonna be burning off, stuff's gonna be really hot. Oh, that's not hot at all. No. Interesting. It's good. It's all okay. Nothing wrong. Maiden voyage, perfect. I mean, we don't expect them to be perfect all the time, but this is perfect. Well, that was not how we had wanted that to go. I was hoping you'd have your camera. I'm not thrilled about it, but I think we hit an air pocket and needs bled. But it's gonna sit there in timeout and think about what it did. We good?
Yep.
I don't look filthy. I don't have. The other day, Scott and I looked filthy for the podcast, and I'm getting some feedback on that, and that's not good.
That's just shop life.
Shop life. Ooh, that could be another shirt. God, like greasy, could be handprints like right here. Shop life, greasy handprints. So, not a restoration. Took a time out. We had to come to an understanding. If you ever listen to, the mad scientist, Doc Brown, he says the Jeep will tell us what it needs. And obviously, not a restoration, needed a nap. You'll see in that previous clip, I was touching the radiator, it wasn't hot. What was actually happening was we had gotten an air pocket into the cooling system. We actually had the intake off after the initial break-in, and so our first engine break-in work that was done was seamless, and everything was really good. That second run, so while that was the maiden voyage onto the road, we had actually already moved it around the shop, and we'd done the engine break-in. All that was done prior to the intake. So now we had an air pocket trapped basically in the back of the motor, and that wreaked havoc on the sensors, and it made the Jeep think that it was overheating. So shut down. What you miss in that video is actually this very harrowing experience where I thought that something bad, like extra bad, was happening, so I actually turned the key back off, but then found that actually locked the steering wheel. So I'm riding this vehicle down the street. The Jeep's off, the steering wheel's locked. It was very, very exciting. Not in a good way exciting, but exciting. Finally, I did roll the key forward, got it pulled over nicely to the side of the road. I do want to give a shout out to the guy who had to make sure he pulled over, stopped, completely unaware of the fact that I had this harrowing experience just 30 seconds before, and was like, man, that thing sounds awesome. I was at the hairdresser and I just had to know what vehicle it was. So big shout out to you. You brightened my day, even though I'm on the side of the road, like in full panic mode, paying attention to what was happening to the Jeep. Long story short, it's back to being perfect. Big shout out to the team, and make sure you follow along to see the adventures that this will do in the very near future. We've got a handful of couple more Jeeps coming in tomorrow yet to be dropped off, so they'll be here next week. I hope you've enjoyed as we kind of roll in this new version of Tech Tuesday. Check out what's going on, some of the ups, the downs, the shenanigans of the shop life. We've had a really interesting week. Jeffrey was on vacation, and if you're unaware, if you're not following along the podcast, he took this camper, stripped it all down, built this really cool, road-ready camper, took his family across the country. Kudos to him. He's now returned in time for Greg to head off to a training down in Atlanta, so Greg's there. Scott, the mad scientist, is actually home out of his home shop doing all the metal fab on that really sweet 1951 M38. So he's doing the body work. We did a full seat removal and gave that owner 3 extra inches of leg room and seat room. So busy, busy, busy. We've got some really great projects coming up. Re-gears, a KL Cherokee's getting lifted here very shortly. Obviously, we've got some vintage stuff that needs to be addressed. So make sure you check in, like, subscribe if you haven't already, so that you can get all this Jeep goodness. And you know what? Really appreciate all of your guys' support, your patience in the process, and make sure you tune in. Until then, Jeep on.